I found the Influence at Work seminar to be a tremendous benefit to my daily practice and the way that I'll be communicating skills, selling skills, communication skills with our sales team. Specifically, I had read several of the Cialdini books and gleaned a lot of important information, but coming to the seminar really made it actionable and extended my knowledge much deeper. I really liked the part about focusing into the 3 buckets and taking the 6 principles and putting them into motivation, uncertainty, and relationship building, because it helps you understand how you apply the principles and what situations you would really focus on each principle specifically.
The Influence at Work workshop has provided me with great insights into what I can do in my daily business life and how to apply the principles to better suit our customers' needs.
It was my boss's idea for me to come here with him, and I understood the basic principles of what this was all about, but once I got here and started listening, with even the things that we were supposed to bring with our homework and the examples we were supposed to bring, I found that I've gotten those questions answered, but also in addition to that, I've answered many, many other questions that I never even thought I needed to ask. And I've gotten answers to those questions as well. It's been really an amazing experience.
I've used Dr. Cialdini's methods for about 8 years now. In the college classes that I teach, my students have used them successfully in their personal lives as well as in the classroom. Personally, in my own business, I've used them for 8 years and I've noticed an increase in sales through them. But through this training, I've noticed that I could use them in a more effective manner and anticipating even more sale increases through the proper use of these techniques.
So an aha moment for me was the ability of Greg to lead us into, as groups, into thinking through and forcing us to come up with some practical ideas of how we're actually using influence. So it's one thing to look at the science, which is great, but quite frankly, the science isn't as important to me as what I can take on the front line so that I can use. And what I found when I'm learning and what I expected to learn in this group is get some different perspectives, different disciplines, and how they're using the principles on a daily basis so that I can make a difference and get my clients and my clients' clients to say yes.
The principle that you're going to use has to come at the time that you make a relevant offer. I've used money all of my life, and yet I don't have the education or background to think that I'm just going to go and start investing my family's capital on Wall Street without some further understanding, whether it's with a financial planner or somebody who's more of an expert in wealth management than I would be. The same thing applies here. All of the principles are things I've heard of. They're simple but they're deceptively simple. And so I would no further think that I can apply those principles without further education than I would have with my money into the stock market. And so coming to where there is expertise to help you learn not just what the principles are, but how to use them is absolutely critical.
So the 6 principles of Persuasion workshop is something that our company has utilized for several years, but we wanted to get more in-depth information. And so looking at 3 principles today, kind of aha moments for me was the principle of reciprocation. And so when you are rewarding someone or giving a gift, making sure that it's meaningful and that it's unexpected, which I look back on my experience and my manager has done a great job of, and just makes me feel more appreciated as an employee and move in the direction he wants me to head.
My aha moment was really the focus on the various principles, but the amplification that contrast allows us, and even more than that, the importance of focusing on our similarities rather than our differences.
I think one for me was really when we were talking about contrast, and that anything's only really relative to what you've offered before or afterwards. And I've got background in physics as opposed to in marketing, so for me that kind of really rung lots of bells.
My aha moment was when Dr. Cialdini was speaking about we. I found it quite interesting that you didn't have to change any dynamics other than just simply bring to the surface that there's a commonality and a bond between you two.
My aha moment was the contrast principle in the first day of the Principles of Persuasion course, where we learned that every time you go to persuade someone, you must always think about how you can contrast it with a different situation.
My aha moment was when we watched the Sasquatch video for Consensus. One guy out there dancing brought on a revolution of the entire concert joining him.
There's a lot of times it seems like there's an emergency or something comes up, and when people are under stress, they panic or they freeze up. They don't know what to do. But when you have the 6 principles, and you take the 6 principles and look at them individually to try to come up with a campaign to solve whatever problem is impacting you at the moment, then you can come up with a plan in maybe 2 hours, as opposed to either doing nothing or taking 2 or 3 days.
They've really accomplished the sorts of goals that my company needs to accomplish. Where it has been employed, we've seen some initial successes that have really been exciting and compelling, and we see the return on investment that makes this a worthwhile endeavor for all of us. But today, sitting in a group with people from across a number of interesting industries, it really has provided yet another perspective, another set of ideas that we can play with and try to be more effective practitioners of influence.
My 30 plus years as an employee of AT&T in Bell South, I have never had a more relevant training than I've had with Principles of Persuasion. By true application of these Principles of Persuasion, we don't lose a battle. And I can tell you from my personal experience, which is involved with governmental affairs work for AT&T, that we apply these principles for every plan or campaign we run. It truly works.